talking today to Shongwe of Afroes, who is in the process of launching a game app that will sensitize young people to issues around rape and sexual violence. Tell me about how the project is going to work.
Well, this is a project of the Africa Unite campaign, led by the United Nations Women. And they commissioned us as their technology partner to come in and design a game that would engage young people in ways that would get them to really reflect on their own behavior and begin to ask questions about how they actually understand and view and engage themselves in forms of sexual violence, whether they're aware of this or not, and what are the sorts of mindsets and stereotypes that are around these issues of sexual violence. We know that South Africa is a leading sort of world leader, unfortunately, in sexual violence.
You gave a couple of statistics which were truly disturbing. I mean, if you could repeat those statistics just as a kind of context.
Well, this was research that was done by a combination of organizations and Statistics South Africa. And what the research says is that the 4,000 young students who were interviewed, 37% of the boys say that they have been involved in one way or the other in gang rape. 25% of them say that they have raped at least once. And as they said this in an almost matter-of-fact way. This is just part of the culture and part of what we do as growing teenagers.
Yeah.
So it's scary stuff, and I think that there isn't enough that is being done in that sort of innovative space, and so we began to explore how we could use a game to do this. And so we've joined in this partnership with the UN to build this game. The way it's going to work right now is that we're going to launch. In fact, the UN are proposing that we actually have the formal launch in November, but between now and then, we're going to actually take it into schools and link it to their life orientation work programs, so that we can actually get even deeper reach. And we're going to actually work with the back end of the app, which shows us the trends and the perceptions that are emerging based on the way users are playing the game and are answering these questions. So we're very keen to know how much they understand. For instance, when is the age of legal consent? You know, there's a lot of confusion about basic facts like this. So you will hear a young girl who will say that if I have sex, I'm 14, if I have sex with a 14-year-old, then it's okay. If I have sex with an older man, then it is not. Well, actually, because the legal age is 16, if you're below 16, it is illegal. It is criminal, actually.
Yeah.
And so just correcting some of those basic facts.
So describe how the app works, because I think we can see the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the app is essentially a game. It's built around a very common South African game called Rubber Rubber, which is a board game that is played a lot by young men. It's a game that came out of Zulu sort of herding community. And it's basically a board game where you line up 3 cows to be able to win. And so what the game does is that every time you line up your 3 cows, a question pops up. And that question is a multiple choice question, and it's a question that's related either to gender-based violence concepts, or about general stereotypes around that, or steps or actions to take in the event of gender-based violence. And so the questions keep popping up as you play the game, so the more you win the game, the more questions come up, and that gives you a chance to engage more and more and more with the actual issues. The more rights you get, the more chances you have to actually progress in the game. When you complete a cycle, you have the opportunity to sign up in the high score system, and that enables you to put in your name and your gender. And with that information, it enables us to then track how the information is being dealt with by the user. And so it's a very simple app. It's
So what kind of phone can it be used on?
On all basic feature phones that have a web browser access. So we built it in particular for the most common phones that are in that age group, and so there is Nokia's, easily about 15 different models of Nokia's fit in within this LSM 3 to 6 that we are targeting. Samsung, LG, And we're now actually porting that onto the BlackBerry because there's been such a big demand for that as well, and we want to be able to see how the IM might actually.
And is this work just to be focused on South Africa, or will you do it in other countries?
Well, the Africa Unite campaign is for the whole of Africa. But the UN Women team who have commissioned this work are actually Southern African based. And so we're beginning in Southern Africa, starting with South Africa and those countries surrounding South Africa that have very similar, they play Moraba, they have similar language. And so we believe that we should be able to reach easily 5 or 6 countries in the next 6 months or so, and then we can start rolling it out to other countries.
What was the UN's involvement in the project?
Well, they funded the project. The Africa Unite campaign is a campaign that they launched, and so the background and the sort of focus on gender-based violence really comes from them. And what we've done with them all along, we've been walking hand in hand with them, and so we've got a group of stakeholders with whom we worked that work with the UN Women, with whom we've consulted all along the way. The UN Women have been very engaged in trying to really understand and grapple with the issue of impact. And so this issue of having the game log in the back end of the app is a very important one for them. And so that's really been part of it. So they've commissioned it, they've funded it, they've been really our partners. And I think obviously, because this is a big organization, I think what I can really say that I'm very impressed. I worked for the UN for 15 years, so I'm familiar with the UN very well. And I am really, really excited that they took such a bold step to do something like use a game to reach young people.
Anne, thanks for talking to me today.